My name is Andrew Harlan. I'm a composer, bassist, and sound designer. I'm living here in Prague, where I am affiliated with the Performing Arts Academy, HAMU, and in the US, I'm a Ph.D. candidate at UC Berkeley. When I arrived in Prague, something that really surprised me that I wasn't expecting is the role that cinema plays in the culture here. I knew a little bit about the Carlo Vivari Film Festival, and FAMU has a really great reputation, but I didn't realize just quite the extent to which there are film festivals that are going on all the time. There are amazing cinemas that are playing not only new and interesting films, but also older works. And so for me, that's been really inspiring to get to know that side of Prague, and also to get to collaborate with filmmakers and work on different projects here as well. Something that I think is a really unique part of the Czech environment for classical music is just the appetite for it. I think in Prague especially, there's such it's so normal for people to go to the symphony, for people to go to the opera, and I think it has a really important kind of historical function also in cultural life here in Prague. So I think that creates an interesting environment for composers and for musicians because, you feel like the work that you're doing is really part of the kind of cultural conversation that's happening. Beyond that, I think there's an openness in Prague, especially. It feels like there's a lot of potential collaborations between different artists and different genres. For example, some upcoming projects that I'm doing are involved with the students at UMPRUM, which is the Technical Arts Academy here also. And I think you have a kind of openness and a kind of transdisciplinary approach to working with the arts, which really leads to this open environment for experimentation and play, I would say. In the field of contemporary music composition, a lot of the work in the US is really happening within the university environment. I think that's changing in the last 20 years. I think more of it is beginning to have influences and crossover with other genres like electronic music and jazz, for example. Here in the Czech Republic, I think it's a very similar situation where a lot of this music has been mostly existing within the kind of the confines of the university, the performing arts academies. But I find that the students in general here are also really kind of hungry to move outside of academia and to kind of bring this music into other spheres. So I like to say that the music that I compose operates somewhere in between experimental jazz, contemporary classical music, techno, and dystopian sound design, which is to say that I make and have made a lot of different types of music throughout my life, throughout my career, and it's something that I really treasure, is being able to work in a number of different styles. So I started playing music so that I could play in bands when I was quite young. Which also led me to making my own electronic music and becoming interested in classical music, playing in orchestra, and then eventually writing my own music, playing in jazz groups. And for me, I'm always trying to find kind of ways to integrate these different musical languages in ways that feel kind of like finding different pieces of a puzzle, kind of fitting different genres into this Venn diagram. And that really changes from project to project, but for me, it's really exciting to kind of take aspects of techno and bring it into a piece of contemporary classical music, to take elements of kind of sound design that I get from working in electronic music and bring that into a kind of jazz context. So for me, it's really important to be kind of flexible and having a kind of broad range of musical ideas and materials. In my field, in composition, one of the biggest changes that has happened and is continuing to happen is the role that technology plays in what we write. That can be something as simple as the types of software that we're using to notate our music, but especially I think it's becoming more and more common that almost all composers need to have a type of technological literacy. It's important to be able to work with recording technology, to work with digital signal processing, and being able to really kind of create new sounds. And so I think it's created a kind of explosion of possibilities for the field and for especially younger composers. So beyond wanting to work with Professor Rataj, I also had heard a lot of really interesting things about the musical and artistic community that's happening here in Prague, and being able to experience that up close and become immersed in that has really been inspiring, and that was something that I really valued when I was considering where to go. Advice that I would have for younger Americans who want to come study abroad in Europe is, once you arrive, I think it's really important to just try and do as many things as possible, kind of say yes to everything, say yes to every invitation to a movie, to drinks, to a concert, and just get to know what's going on, because I think that's the best way you can really start to feel like a part of the community. One thing that I tell students, especially when I'm teaching more beginner musicians, is that listening is, I think, already a creative act. I think we're already, when we're listening to music, we're like 80% of the way towards composing. And I think it's really valuable and special to be able to think of yourself as somebody who can make their own music and to create music. And I'm always trying to encourage people to say that I think almost anybody can write their own music and get something really valuable out of creating music with just a little bit of time and resources.